you ever find yourself blanking out during a discussion, conversation, meeting, or presentation, it always helps to think in frameworks. The more organized our thinking is, the clearer and more effective our communication will be. So here are 5 mental models that you can utilize to structure your thinking and hence organize your communication more effectively. It'll help you sound more concise, clear, and effective. Let's get started. Mode number 1 is a framework called as CIK. This stands for context, intent, and key message. Now this is very helpful for the beginning of a conversation. It helps us to set what we're talking about, why are we talking to that person, and what our main message is. Let's say, for example, you're a team lead and need some help from another team lead to finish a project. Instead of saying, hey, do you think you or any of your team members could help us out to finish this particular project? It would be important and I'd be quite grateful. Instead of that, use CIK. Give the context, provide the intention and the key message. Hey, I need to talk to you about project XYZ. I wanted to request if we can take the help of some of your team members to finish this particular project on time. The client we're servicing here is one of the biggest the company has, and if we don't submit the project by the given timeline, it could hurt recurring business. And it's as simple as that. And to some of y'all, it might seem a little too simple and even a little incomplete, but that's completely fine. Remember, this is just the beginning for the rest of your conversation. And after you set this, then it can proceed to a dialogue. Mental model number 2, GPS. GPS stands for goal, problem, and solution. One of the easiest and best frameworks to apply. It's also a cool framework to help you practice storytelling, because every story has a hero who has a goal, has a problem to reach there, and hence has to come up with a creative solution. But this can also be applied in everyday conversations. Let's say, for example, you need to approach your boss about a project and need his approval on something. Instead of walking in or haphazardly without giving enough context or details, we can use GPS. Start by talking about a common goal. Hey, we're currently working on a project with XYZ client, and as you know, our aim over here is not just to deliver the project on time, but to exceed expectations so that they can provide us with recurring business. Problem, however, is 2 of our key team members have fallen unwell and are not going to be available for the next 2 weeks. And if things go on like this, we're probably going to miss the deadline and not have any work from them coming in. I would require an approval from you to take the help of other team members from other departments so that we can finish off this particular project on time. That's about it. Goal, problem, solution. Pretty similar to CIK, this also is a good initiation to a conversation. It can also follow the CIK framework, and then you can finally get into a dialogue. By the way, if you're finding this video valuable, you can hit the subscribe button so it reaches and helps even more people. Mental model number 3 is very useful when you have to give your opinion, when you have to try and make your contributions show some substance. That's where a framework called OREO comes in. OREO stands for opinion, reason, experience, opinion. Now let's say if you're asked for an opinion, how do we generally respond? For example, your boss enters a room, you're sitting there with your colleagues and your boss points at you and asks you, hey, do you think we should let these freshers use tools like ChatGPT? Should we encourage more AI usage to help them with their daily tasks, or should they do it like how you guys did it, the manual way? Now generally we would say, yeah, I think we should allow them because it'll help make their work a lot more efficient. Instead, use OREO. Start with your opinion. Yes, I think we should allow them to use AI tools for everyday tasks. The reason I feel this way is because the use of these tools will help them speed up their daily tasks and focus more on creative and thinking projects, which will allow us to groom them faster. Now, generally, we do give our opinions and reasons, but we miss out on the experience. Here, we give our own anecdote of ourselves or somebody else applying our opinion. In my own experience, I have been using these AI tools on a daily basis since the past 1 year, and they've allowed me to free up a lot of my time so that I can focus on bigger tasks. I feel if we embed this principle in them from right now, it'll help in the long run. And then finally, we conclude with the opinion again. And that's why, in my opinion, we should encourage the use of these tools as soon as they enter our organization. Now, getting to the 4th framework, what if we don't want to be so direct? What if we want to build a narrative, build a bit of a story, and then communicate? That's where a framework called CARE comes in. CARE stands for context, answer, reason, example. So let's say you're given any one topic to speak on. For example, name any one habit that you would like to build for yourself. So instead of just directly saying the one habit I would like to build for myself is reading, and the reason I feel this way is blah, 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 you can start by building a bit of a narrative. Give them some context. I've always found building habits quite difficult because I struggle with consistency. But there is one thing that I've noticed almost every successful person that I know of adopt. Now, this one particular habit is completely irrelevant of what industry you're in, what career you're following, or what your passions are, because it can literally serve every individual. And that is the habit of reading. And that's the habit that I want to develop. And the reason I say this is because if I can develop the habit of consistent reading, it'll not only help me expand my thinking process, but it'll constantly feed me with new ideas that I can then apply in my personal and professional life. Let me give you a quick example. One of my younger cousins, who was this completely shy and introverted kid, found a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Apparently it's a classic in the soft skills space. And after reading that book, I could visibly see certain changes in his persona. And today he's one of the most likable and social people that I know of. And I noticed that if one book can have such an impact on someone's personality, I definitely want to get in on this. And the last and final model is a bit different from all the ones we discussed. It's meant for you to speak in a more comprehensive manner, or if you're having a simple casual conversation and running out of things to say, this will probably give you some ideas. It's called STEEP UP. It stands for social, technological, economical, environmental, political, universal, and personal. Now, unlike the other models, this doesn't follow a step-by-step process. In fact, whatever topic we're speaking on, we can pick any of these particular letters and start expanding on that. Once we feel like we're done with that particular set, we move on to another letter, and so on and so forth. Let's say, for example, you're at a networking event and the topic of inflation comes out. Of course, you can talk about it from an economic perspective, but after a while, if you're running out of things to say or you want to add a unique perspective, maybe you can talk about inflation from a personal perspective on how it's affected your life particularly. Or you can move on to the political side of it and talk about it from that particular angle. This framework allows you to dig into multiple ideas so that you always have something interesting and unique to add in a particular conversation. And that's it. 5 models to help you speak effectively without blanking out. Now, while these models help your structure and thinking, it's also important on how you deliver your words. And that's where your voice becomes very important. And if you want to know how to use your voice effectively in almost any situation, you can check out this video right here.